Hi, my name is Riley Seberg. I'm the owner of Evolving Software. Evolving Software is an agile software development agency located in upstate New York, Albany, New York. And what we do is we build software for you or your customers. Now, I don't want to really get into us or what we do too much. What I'd like to discuss on this video is what is test-driven development and why does it matter. Now, test-driven development is one of those buzzwords that we hear a lot about. And the one thing that I've been recognizing the older I get is buzzwords exist for a reason. They get people's attention for a reason, so they serve a specific purpose, right? And I just realized this might be maxed out. Buzzwords exist to get people's attention. So if that's true, we should really be considering why we hear things. And what I mean by that is why we hear what we hear when we hear buzzwords, right? So that's a lot to say. Sorry, I'm just checking. I'm buying time, okay? There we go. So that's a lot to basically say that it's important. It's very important. And it's so important that people want to not do what's necessary to get this stuff working, right? And what I mean by that is really the only way that you can prove your stuff works is to test it, right? And we've all been through tests personally. I know I have. I'm sure you have as well. And that's when you really find out that you do know or you don't know something, right? And that's basically the same thing with software. You can say it's built, you can convince the customer that it's built, but until it's tested, it's probably not going to prove anything, right? Or it's not going to be battle tested, right? Like, I mean, these words exist for a reason. And what I want, like, test-driven development is a philosophy, and it's a mindset and it's an approach. And what it means is you're building something from a test and you're working backwards. And so basically what we do is the process is you write a test and you run the test fails, right? And then basically the test is supposed to describe a feature or describe an interaction or service or something like that, right? So the test fails, and when you realize the test fails, you write the code to correct it. Now, isn't this basically the same thing as like fixing bugs, right? Running software, fixing bugs? Yes, it is. And that's the exact mindset, the philosophy that you want to have when you're doing TDD. You're solving problems, right? You're creating a problem, then you're fixing it. So if that's the case, isn't like wouldn't you want your stuff to be built like that? Like, problem solved. Here's how we can prove it. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why everybody doesn't do that. It seems obvious, right? And that's the thing. The another thing is, the more I get into this, the more I realize is that the stuff that should be getting done, the stuff that's obvious, doesn't get done because, once again, business is driven by profit. Business is driven by money, and what I mean by that is money and profit usually bring out the lower aspects of human nature. And people are often left to their tendencies, which are not always of the highest good, right? And so even though you know you should be doing something, more often than not, your psychological immune system kicks in and keeps you from doing the thing that you know you're supposed to be doing. And because most people are too busy or don't have enough energy or have too busy, they don't have the time, they don't dig in to the work that you're doing because they hired you to do it. So they expect that the work that you're doing is quality. And oftentimes, as professionals, we know that there's a little bit of number fudging that we can do, right? And what this does is it creates issues, right, in the long term. And it's one of the reasons why nothing lasts anymore, right? So I remember at the last company I was at, we were trying to launch a course, and the basically the webinar name to launch the course was build a brand that lasts for decades, right? Well, this is kind of how you want to write your software. You want it to last for decades. You don't want to get back to it again. And if you do get back to it again, you want to be able to understand what it is, what the issues are. Like, you want to have some type of debugging, right? You get all that with test-driven development. You just get it out of the box, right? And you get a suite of testing tools, which comes because that's what the developers are using. And so you can test to see if this stuff actually is an issue. You can test to see if it really exists. And this is a huge deal. This is a very, very big deal because it ensures that what you're getting is what was sold to you. And for you as a customer, it's very difficult in this industry, software development, to verify that what you're getting is what you purchased without spending more money, right? It's very difficult to do that unless you're a software developer yourself, and most people who are hiring one are not. And so that's the issue, is ultimately TDD comes down to transparency and honesty. And I wish it was more than that. I wish it was like quality and craftsmanship and all this type of stuff, but it really is just that. And the reason that you see a lot of developers not using it, a lot of software developers not using it, is because it does force them to be honest. And these are the same people who don't comment their code, right? And so there's a certain sector of the industry, it might be the majority, it might not be, that it is very ego driven, let's say the least, right? Let's just put it that way. And so what they're motivated by is not necessarily serving, right? And you can see it because there's not always a complete answer when you ask questions, right? And it's always if you do ask a question, it's always like a sneer smile. Is that how you say sneer? There's always like a sneer, like, and you always feel kind of like you're being talked down to, right? Like the question you asked was obvious, and how could you ask it? It's like, what are you, stupid? Meanwhile, you're the customer and you're asking because you paid for it and you want to ensure a certain level of quality, right? So that's why we do test-driven development. I mean, from a developer standpoint, if I was talking to a developer, I would go into the practice and the methodology and why it matters and all this type of stuff. But ultimately, it comes down to transparency and honesty, and guaranteeing that what you say is true, right? So that's all I got for you. My name is Riley Seberg. I'm the owner of Evolving Software. Here at Evolving Software, we do test-driven development as the only way that we write code, and that guarantees that the code that we're writing is safe, it is production ready, and it can get shipped, it can get deployed as soon as we write it. So that's all I got for you. If you would like to find out more about who we are and what we do, please go to our website, evolvingsoftware.io. Thank you so much. God bless. Bye.